which is, that's a really good salesman at 25,
Right.
30%. That's good conversions. Okay, so I mean, you're looking at, maybe one deal every time you had those 6 appointments, and it's taking you the entire day. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking to, 4, 5, 6 people per hour, and we're quickly getting qualified no's as well. Getting the no is
Mm-hmm.
just as important as getting the yes, right? For those people that are not selling the property, you're not a good fit for them, etc. We want to understand that. We just want to know that quickly. We don't want
Just
to
move
find
on
that
to the
out.
next one,
Yeah, we don't want to invest a lot of time and energy to get that type of no. Same thing goes back to marketing as well. We don't want to spend big dollars to get no's unless we have
Right.
to. So the processes. So I'm gonna give you an overview. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's really simple. It's nothing like. So we got marketing, right? So that's your direct mail, your cold calling, PPC, all those type of things. That
Yep.
gets prospects coming into the door. Once they come in, depending on where they come from, if it's a pre-qualified source, meaning they have already checked a certain number of criteria, it goes directly to somebody that we call a closer, who is in position to talk to that person, get all the information, and close the deal. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're not a pre-qualified prospect that's coming in, they're going to go through someone that we through a position that we call lead intake or follow-up specialist. These
Okay.
individuals, literally all they do, they take in the colder leads, qualify them. Where are you at in your buying or selling journey? And once you reach a certain point, okay, now you go to the closer. If you're kind of iffy, you may still go to the closer. And if you're no way in hell type of thing, you're not going to go to closer. We're just going to follow up
Mm-hmm.
with you at a later date until perhaps you are. So that's where leads are coming in at.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. And also that same follow-up position, they're also responsible for going back through all of the leads that are in our system. It's
Mm-hmm.
like 16,000, 14,000 of them. They follow with those consistently. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people fail because a lot of people don't follow up. And that's where you get
Yep.
majority of your deals is through the follow-up, because you never know where someone's at on their journey. So they do that. Okay, so let's say the deal comes in, goes to the closer, boom, they get a contract. What happens after that? This is an e-sign contract. They told us
Mm-hmm.
the condition of the property. We pretty much just take their word for it, and we figure out everything else in the back end. Surprisingly, most people are pretty honest. They're not always accurate, but they're pretty honest, meaning they're not trying to withhold things. We actually just had one case like that, but very rarely. So anyway, after that, it goes directly to our transaction coordination team, who reaches out. Hey, you just spoke with such and such about this property. And then they set expectations from there. I'm the TC. I'm gonna take you from contract to close. Here is our
Mm-hmm.
3 phases. We're gonna, come out to the property, take a look at it. We're gonna do our due diligence, and then we hit a fork in the road before we go to close or not. And that's it. We just want to make sure the seller is always understanding what's going on and keep them
Right.
updated in a timely fashion.
At this process here,
Mm-hmm.
do you
Mm-hmm.
tell them that you're wholesaling it, or like how do you go about telling them that you're wholesaling it?
Yeah, so I can talk a lot about that, because that was a big thing when I first started. Wholesaling, I thought, was a dirty word. If you was a wholesaler, that was like an insult. You know what I mean? Wholesaler? What do you mean? You just a wholesaler? I didn't want to tell people I was. I mean, funny enough, I wasn't just doing wholesaling, but I didn't want to tell people I was wholesaling, because it was like, oh, you're. And then I started learning, oh, no, this is actually you can scale this. Yeah, we're wholesalers. That's what we do, which is more of the thought process today, it seems.
Right.
But then years ago, it wasn't like that, man. It was like, at least for me, it felt like, man, I was kind of trying to be sneaky. If I was. I didn't want anybody to know, like, I just wholesale this property. That's how I make the money.
Yep.
I'm just wholesaling until I'm able to flip. And, oh, yeah, you're flipping a property. You're doing something down the hole. Now you're a real investor. But you wholesaling, you're not a real investor. So it was like that. So for you guys who think that's not the case, but if you think that, that frequency rubs off on the seller, and they can pick up on that stuff. So to answer your question, do we tell the seller, yeah, we're going to wholesale this property? Today, no, we don't do that. I mean, we actually haven't done that in a long time, even when I was still a one-man show, because I learned, because you can do things that piss people off if you don't communicate the right way.
How many, what's your average, rate that you have to go back to the seller and be like, I need to get a price reduction?
The price reduction, that's a good question. We don't measure how, like a percentage, like some of our other KPIs, but it's not the reason why we don't is because it's not, you know what, we probably do measure. I take that back. I'm sure that we got it. It's not a high KPI that I look at. I've seen run those numbers, but it's not a big deal for me because that's part of our strategy. Now, to give the guys who are out of state coming in virtually into Detroit, I try to give them a little bit of slack because I think Detroit is one of the hardest markets and similar markets where that whole block, because so you do it here. When we go to other markets, comping is like super easy to do, and because it's not as it's more cookie cutter.
Okay.
But that being said, as far as like the whole virtual thing, so the retrades or the renegotiations, how do we deal with that? Number one, in my opinion, they're easier. We just, if I ask you on the front end, Mr. Seller, what's the condition of the house? And you tell me this, that, and the other.
And how many people talk to the seller and how many handoffs? And what I'm interpreting what you're saying is you got the closer, okay? So you got the person who may talk to the person initially, the initial saying, yes, I'm ready to sell. Then that goes to the closer, and tell me if I'm wrong at any point. Then it goes to the closer. They go to close it and they get the contract signed. Then it goes to the TC, okay? And the TC will follow it all the way from that point all the way to the closing. And they'll set up the people. Am I right?
Yep. So exactly. So the big thing about this question, which is actually a question, it's rapport. It's not even about how many handoffs. I mean, from a waste perspective, you do want to minimize that, but it's not about how many handoffs. It's about what that client, what that seller feels, right? So yes, on certain deals, it may go, the lead may go through a follow specialist. He may talk to them twice for like 2 minutes, and then it goes to the closer, and they have a deep conversation. The seller always remembers the closer because they're there to build rapport, etc. So in the seller's mind, a lot of times the closer is the first person they talk to, and then the TC is the second person they talk to, and everything that needs to happen goes through one of those two people. Whether we need access to the property, etc., it always goes through one of those two people. And sometimes it may be the title company.
Oh yeah, most definitely. This is, do you wholesale outside of Michigan? And I think you primarily do that, right? Or do you primarily do it in-state? Like, where are your markets that you totally do?
So primarily we are based here in Michigan. So the quick story behind that. So we're here in Michigan and North Carolina, Raleigh, Charlotte, some of the Triangle area.
I used to live in Raleigh and Charlotte.
Oh, nice. Well, you've been there more times than me. I stopped in Raleigh once for a layover. So I've never actually been there. But so in like Estonia, I don't know if that's the Triangle area, but we're in that area, Gaston County as well. So what do so we're primarily based here in Michigan. And so the story behind that is back in like 2019 going into 2020, we built the system set to go into like 12. We were going to go to 12 different markets, 12 states, potentially 24. Like that's what we were going to scale, go the national route, right? And we still may do that. So we're built and designed to be able to do that pretty much at any point, right? You give us a few days, maybe a week, we can go into a new market.
It's a question about, can you explain comping? Let's do a quick high level of comping because I'll do a separate comping video. I'm waiting for my setup to get kind of right for me to do it properly but I think I want to answer this kind of more so, how does Detroit different than say the other cities that you're in, Raleigh, Charlotte, things like that? Because Detroit is very different. Even the suburbs are a little bit more different because we have the Tri-County area. So how are we different than say Charlotte, North Carolina, or Raleigh, North Carolina, or anything like that? Because those are the two markets you're in, right?
Right. Primarily. So good questions. How does it market differ? So in Raleigh and Charlotte, the houses are much more similar. Like you got these subdivisions where a lot of cookie cutter houses are at. It's very easy to just say, like when you go to pull comps, when I remember I first started and my mentor was telling me how to comp properties, I thought something was wrong with me because I was like, dude, it's not showing up. But what you see in Charlotte and Raleigh, I would say in majority of the country, at least the major MSAs is 280 MSAs. Like it's easier because there's so much more a lot of cash transactions happen. It's very easy to run comps real quick because, hey, I got a property that's four bedroom, 2.5 bath, built in 1970. Yep. Okay, here's another one right there, a couple blocks away. And there's another one 3 blocks away, and they're all around. So it's like, okay, it's like going. It's literally becomes like, okay, it's like pricing bread.
Quick tip for Detroit, for everybody out there. Now, you already know this, but everybody else out there, when you're looking at a Detroit property, the main thing that you want to look at, I don't care about the zip code. I don't care about, yes, you want to look the zip code, that's fine, but you're not comping towards the zip code, okay? You mainly want to look at what the neighborhood says. Then what I do is I go on Google Maps, okay? And I get maps.google.com, and I type in that neighborhood name, and it literally crosses out exactly the boundaries of that neighborhood. Okay. Now I look at comps. I do not look outside that neighborhood. I can't. Yep. I take more consideration to the comps that are either on that same block or within a couple blocks of that house, but I cannot cross that neighborhood boundaries at all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Boston Edison, 1 block away from Boston Edison, completely different comps.
Right.
You know, so you